Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, we had a very interesting day yesterday, and I think we're in a very interesting spot right now. And I'm starting to see some possible openings for us in terms of like informational advantage. Although we kind of need to check a few things and check my facts and so forth before I like go too far here. Let's come and take a look at the charts though. Yesterday, pretty big recovery day, but it was, they didn't hold it all. Basically, Donald Trump, after giving an ultimatum on the weekend saying, actually we're negotiating with Iran and giving it 5 days. So the market seems a little bit skeptical because Iranian news media has denied those talks, but we continue to get more news reports that, for instance, that talks are ongoing, that they were sanctioned by the supreme leader, the new supreme leader, etc., etc. So that's where the treasuries are. S&P 500, you can see there, I think a lot of skepticism in the equities. Oil did take a pretty big hit. I'm a little bit concerned about oil, though. We'll talk about that in a second. Gold and silver, still looks pretty crappy here, honestly. Kappa, Japanese yen. Okay, Japanese yen holding its gains a little bit too. And Bitcoin kind of not really doing much of anything once again. Okay, so the thing that I heard that I want to verify was U.S. intelligence reporting that there were mines in the Strait of Hormuz. There was at least 16. So let me see if I can verify that. Where was I getting that from? Well, if I go to Zero Hedge, they don't have a story pinned anymore. Their last thing was saying Israel and the U.S. strike gas facilities in Iran's Isfahan. But that's kind of, I don't know. I would feel like that would be having a bigger impact. Okay, U.S. officials have told CBS News that there are at least a dozen underwater mines through the Vital Passageway, according to current American intelligence assessments. So that says to me, even if we get a deal with Iran, it's going to take some time for them to find those mines and dismantle them. Vital says a Thai ship passed through. Interesting. Although, like, the whole thing has been that ships have been let through, but like the Iranians are saying, oh, we control, like, you don't get to pass through without asking us first. I don't know. My guess is, barring any other kind of big headline, that the market is kind of going to be in a bit of a holding pattern all week until we get to the results of whatever kind of negotiations there are. And we still have the big question, which is, was this 5-day ceasefire for real, or is the U.S. just making stuff up? I don't think that the U.S. is making stuff up. We did get some evidence of insider trading ahead of the announcement yesterday, but you probably always going to see a little bit of that, to be honest with you. It doesn't mean that it wasn't a legit headline, right? But part of me feels that, well, maybe they are negotiating with Iran, but that this is really just a delay tactic to give more time for Marines to come over. So, at the moment I'm feeling, well, the thing that bothers me is I'm only seeing this from Zero Hedge. Why is that? CBS News Minds. Let's read the CBS News story. Okay, so this is from CBSNews.com. Amid Trump administration's demands for Tehran to keep the free flow of commerce in the Strait of Hormuz, U.S. officials have told CBS News that there are at least a dozen underwater mines through the vital passageway, according to current American intelligence assessments. U.S. officials who have seen current American intelligence assessments and spoke to CBS News under condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive national security matters said the mines currently employed by Iran in the Strait are the Iranian-manufactured Mom-3 and Mom-7 limpet mine. Oh, well, that is useful because Vital was just asking, so they're not automatic? Well, let's look up what this mine is. The Mom-3 is an Iranian-manufactured moored naval mine designed for anti-ship warfare, often deployed to block or threaten shipping lanes in the Strait of Hormuz. It utilizes magnetic and passive acoustic sensors rather than direct physical contact to detect and destroy ships, with a reported ability to target vessels within a roughly 3-meter radius. That's from ChatGPT. Strangely enough. With both magnetic and acoustic sensors. Is from, what is this? catuxo.com. That's a weird URL. What do these guys do? Collective awareness to UXO. Oh, wait. What is UXO? Unexploded ordnance. Oh, wow. So there's this whole website dedicated to, making the public aware of different types of mines, essentially. That's interesting. Okay. So then can we go to, what is the Mom-7? Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, wait. That's not going to help me. Mom-7. Displayed at an arms show in 2015 and named at the time the Sticking Mine. Can be applied in very shallow waters by ships. Can deviate sonar waves sent by minesweepers, so detection is difficult for minesweepers. Ah. That's interesting. Mines will slowly drift to your boat if you're too close. Don't forget to bring your fiberglass hull boats, but then you still get acoustics to worry about. Let's see here. Vital says the U.S. wants Iranians to feel victorious before the attack. Yes, that was reported, yes. That Iran, well, it sounds to me like this is really being led by the Iranian foreign minister, and they claim, or at least the news reports have been, that he has approval from the current leader, the current supreme leader, rather, to do these negotiations. And the stories that we've heard is basically that Iran does want to negotiate, but that they need to, have a safe phasing. I can't speak today. A face-saving win. I'm stumbling a little bit here because as I'm talking, the treasuries are kind of coming down pretty quickly here. There's some space. I'm going to try the sim trade to see if I can get myself kind of into the swing of things. Okay. I'm going to be pretty tepid about it. I'm going to take 2 contracts, take 1 off immediately. A little bit concerned about this spot forming a little bit of a range, even though I think that we should be able to get down to the 14.5. Good morning, Uzi. I was wondering where you were. Because I've just been thinking about this whole kind of question. I mean, yesterday I was like, well, I think that maybe the reason that Iran is denying that talks are taking place is because there's multiple Iranian factions, and maybe the kind of the more government is fighting with the Iranian Guard Corps, the hardliners. But then there is a thing that there was like some inside trades, and maybe this is all just kind of like a ruse to manipulate markets. Maybe this is all just a ruse to buy time for Marines to make it into the area. And honestly, I don't think that I have any kind of piece of information that proves that it's one or the other. But it kind of seems to me that what the reality of this situation is like one of the most interesting kind of questions that we've tackled here on the stream, and maybe one of the most consequential. And yet here I'm sitting here this morning and I'm kind of feeling like maybe it doesn't even matter what the reality is. The market's going to sit here and wait for 5 days, and then we see what the next step is, And probably when we get to the 5 days, people are still going to be like unsure what's going on. Uzi says he needed some French bread. Wait, what? When do you actually need French bread? Like, I get, like, French bread is good and all, but do you actually need French bread? Sounds a little bit too high class for you, Uzi. You need French bread so badly that you have to do a grocery store run first thing in the morning. It's better than American bread. Is it? Wait, what makes French bread different from your old white bread? What makes it taste different? Oh, now I'm interested. Am I gonna get filled on this? They haven't flipped the okay, there we go. No fill, but yeah, there we go. I like that. I'll put a second one on if they give it to me. Also needed eggs, cheese. Well, now you need eggs. Dude, I saw this picture on Reddit. So like, please help me convince my husband that this is completely normal. and like it was a fridge, and like half of the fridge was taken up by chicken eggs. So I think that they probably have chickens and they don't know what to do with all of the eggs, and so the wife is just keeping them all. What? French bread, particularly the baguette, is distinguished by its strict legal requirement to only use 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, and yeast, without preservatives. Its unique quality comes from slow fermentation, which develops flavor and creates a crisp, thin, shatter crust with light, chewy, and airy interior. Oh. Oh, so what they're saying is French bread is the most bready of breads. That makes sense. That makes sense. But if it's using your regular enriched flour, or I shouldn't call it enriched flour, but white flour, then I don't know if it's actually that much better for you than other bread. French made bread from spelt, often sourdough. Now, sourdough is a different thing, for sure. Oh, did I already? No. I'm only on one contract. Okay. Better to do the grocery run early before heavy traffic piles in. It's Tuesday, dude. It's not like you're going to Costco Saturday at 11 o'clock. And then don't go to Costco Saturday at 11 o'clock, especially not in Utah. Oh my gosh. Uzi says you're telling me. Oh man. Apparently Utah has the largest Costco's. I didn't know that the Costco that in Salt Lake was the largest Costco in the world, but apparently it's the largest Costco in the world. I couldn't imagine living in an area with people, though. I bet you can't imagine how empty it really is around me. I bet. You know, something that I hear a lot around here that really kind of like, I'm like, what? I don't. What are you talking about? Is people complain there's too many people here. Okay, so like if you're in certain parts of Utah County, it's getting overcrowded. Like Utah County is getting to the point where they have to start building high density housing. Like in order to solve their problems over there, they're going to have to start building high density housing and more mass transit. It is becoming a metropolitan area. But like up here in Davis County, well, I mean, there's people, but it's just normal. It's just like a normal suburban area. And everybody acts like it's so crowded. I guess because you were used to it being practically rural 50 years ago or something. It's not that bad, though. Like, go live in Raleigh. Man, that place has been growing like a weed. Like, here in Utah, we've been one of the highest growth areas in the nation. But we're like 20% growth, and Raleigh is like 200% growth or something like that. Like, it's insane how much faster that place has been growing than pretty much anywhere else in the country. Vital says, check out whole grain barley flour. It's the lowest glycemic index carb. I eat it every. Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, that's what you got to be the whole grain. So I have learned that the wheat germ has all of this stuff on it, and that's like where basically all of the minerals are. So when you just eat enriched bread or white bread, you're basically missing out on all of the chemicals that you need. And one of the key chemicals that you need is chromium. And without the chromium, that affects your insulin response. So this just goes back to this thing. I really feel like, hey, you feel like I want to improve my health, but there's so many different things that you can do, and how do you really optimize your health? And I really wish that we just had, like, you know, the whole culture and diet was built around optimizing that. because it's too hard to keep track of it all, right? Well, the one thing that you can do, well, the two things, because the first thing is you exercise regularly. Okay, that of course goes without saying. But the number two thing I think that you can do that most people aren't doing and they don't realize they should be doing is eating more fiber. Eating more fiber. Eat bread that is, multi-grain. Anything, those leafy greens, the ones that nobody likes to eat, like spinach and stuff like that. Eat more fiber, and the fiber improves your insulin response, and that's the thing that's going to prevent you from getting insulin resistance and diabetes and all of the other problems associated with it. Or like for me, the way that I try and fight this is I have a bran muffin in the morning. And I feel so much better when I have a bran muffin, because that gives me both the energy that I need and the vitamins and minerals and makes it last. Anyways, Uzi says, I've been working from home for 14 years and I am still surprised by how ridiculous the traffic gets on any given workday. I have to drive 40 minutes to work now. Sometimes it's like 90 minutes to get to work. I would say about once a week now, there will be a day where it takes me 90 minutes to get home or to get to work. And it's always in this same stupid place. It's always in this one place, and I don't get what it is about this one place. And I, like I've mentioned it to other locals, like I've come across threads about it on Facebook and Reddit. It's like this area right here. So like what happens here you got the Salt Lake Valley, right? So there's Salt Lake City Valley, and then there's kind of a little bit of a bottleneck. And then there's the Davis County area, which is where I live. And then it opens up to Layton. That's way north, and then Ogden. Okay. And then on the south side, there's Point of the Mountain right here, which is kind of like a little hill that you got to go up, and, the mountains close in on you. And then it opens up to Utah Lake. And then you've got the Provo Valley. And Utah Lake is a freshwater lake. And this is the area that's like seeing insane growth, because what happened is here in Alpine Highland Lehigh area, all of the big tech companies opened up offices. So like right here, there's an Adobe office. It's actually a company called Omniture that basically had like analytics, and Adobe bought them. But then there's like 3 fabs over here. Like they've got like Intel and all those guys over here on the mountain with like actual fabs. So they call these silicone slopes. So this is the area that's like growing like crazy. So like when you get to American Fork, you look at it here on a map and it's just like, oh, it's just like this is like a suburban area, right? Here's the houses, right? But this place is turning into a metropolitan area, like really, really quickly. Anyways, right here, so just before, when you're coming out of the Salt Lake Valley, just before this Point of the Mountain area, so like this area right here, there is always an accident, and I don't know why, because it's not like this area is particularly more densely populated than anywhere else in the valley, or like the roads are built poorly there, like they narrow down to too many lanes or something like that. It's just there's always an accident there for some reason, and it gets so bad when there's an accident there. PayPal says, my town is a dead town dying so bad because if you want to have a future or a chance, everyone here knows you have to leave to Illinois. So my town's even smaller than ever, only retirees. It's a real thing. You know, I wonder, because there was definitely a time there during COVID when, you know, people were kind of like, oh, well, they're allowing us to work from office. It's working really well. There's all these studies showing that it actually increases productivity. I think it's more complicated than that. But so I should just move to a high value location and just stay there. And so like Montana in particular is my understanding. Montana in particular like saw a lot of people move over to Montana. And I think everybody kind of thought it would stay like that. And so a lot of people were moving out to the country. And then what happened? They told everybody you need to come back to office. I understand it. Especially in those, like think about this. If you can work from home and you can use all of this AI stuff, right? What is the thing that you're going to do that the AI doesn't do, or that somebody in India that can't do, that is going to make you so valuable that they're going to pay you 6 figures a year? Well, it's talking to other people. It's there's like 5 teams that I have to talk to figure out what a certain thing should be, or to get different information and collect it all. That's the thing that the AI can't do, right? And you can do that thing better in the office. So to me, it makes sense that they do the back to the office thing, right? But I am kind of wondering if it becomes inevitable that there will be a move away from the cities still. Because especially when you go out east and you see like what's going on in New York, for instance, New York and Chicago in particular. I mean, it's getting pretty crazy out there. And I think that part of it is bad decisions from those cities. Yeah. But I also think that part of it is they're just too big. You just can't have that much. You just can't have that much stuff concentrated in one place. You've got to grow other places. So, and that's why you're seeing like Raleigh is becoming a big place. Florida is becoming a bigger place. Texas, which was already a big place, is becoming bigger. And then you got over here Phoenix and Salt Lake City and Las Vegas are all becoming bigger. Idaho has been grown really big because I think there's been a tech company in Boise. I actually, people in Idaho are a little bit upset because a lot of them are immigrants, but you get what I'm saying. Like other areas are going to have to grow now, probably. But does that mean that like the really rural places like APOL is talking about will grow? I don't think so. In fact, I'm kind of concerned that like we're not going to have farmers anymore, and there's going to be societal problems because of that in the future. Vital asks, is it possible to live in Salt Lake City without owning a car? I would say it's possible, but I don't think that anybody does it. So you could definitely work like in Salt Lake City proper. So this is like downtown Salt Lake City, right? So you can definitely, there are apartments in there and they're building more and more all the time. So there's definitely some people that you can walk to work or take tracks for in the free zone and all of that sort of a thing. But Utah is very much a commuter culture. Very much a commuter culture. Especially where I live. Because there's lots of people that they drive from Layton down to downtown. Although driving from from the Davis County area all the way to Provo is unusual. I'm an outlier now. Well, I like that last downtick to 15.5. It's not been, it's been a little bit slower than I thought. I should have a order sitting out there to take the profit. You only have one contract on. I don't think that it was enough that it would have been much better for me to have actually taken it live. But it does give me a little bit more confidence. I do kind of feel like I'm getting into the thick of it. Although I am maybe talking too much. Let's see here. So there's a couple of other comments here. The volume pump in oil just before Trump's talk yesterday needs to be studied. SEC is just for us chumps. Well, but the thing that you got to understand, Ismail, is that there is a lot of information that people can have that is either completely legal to trade on or is in the gray area. Okay. I can tell you from firsthand knowledge that when you work at a trading floor at a bank, that the bank will be told about things ahead of time. In some instances, it's literally like the government says, we're going to be doing X, we're making an announcement at this time. And when they tell them, because that's not considered public information, they're not allowed to trade on it. So they all know that it's going to happen, and they're all sitting there ready and waiting, but they have to wait for it to be announced. That happens. And then there's other things that they will catch wind of, that other information that they will get that they can trade on. And there's actually this whole sophisticated framework of determining what they can act on and what they can't. So a lot of the things that you're seeing, like especially, what is this guy's Unusual Whales? Because their whole thing kind of started as insider trading by Congress, and they've kind of expanded. A lot of the things that you see them complain about are things that are actually technically in the gray zone. So I give you an example. We talked about this before, but everybody kind of forgot about it, and I think that it's a big deal. Was that there was Jane Street was trading crypto stuff, and it appears that they kind of knew that a particular crypto firm was going under and kind of front run that. And maybe in some respects kind of created or hastened that fall. And they are accusing them of doing this because they have like text messages and all this sort of stuff of them talking about it. And the issue is, I don't know if that's illegal. I think that's the gray zone. So they're going to put it in court, and then we're going to see. Then we'll actually finally find out if that's illegal or not. If that court case, they go to that court case, and then they determined that, like, they hit Jane Street, like Jane Street has to pay a fine and all of that, then you're probably going to start to see the other major firms change their behavior. There'll probably be a big industry-wide change after that. Because right now, I'm telling you, it's straight up gray zone. So for instance, this trade that Uzi was pointing out to me yesterday, that before, well, you were talking about before Trump's speech, but this was like before it got announced by Trump on Twitter that they were in talks with Iran. There was several very, very large trades, right? And the way that probably works is like, Trump's cabinet, they're all having a talk. They've had these things have happened, whatever. Donald Trump's going to tweet about it. They know that he's going to tweet about it. Like at that point, everybody in the White House knows. And then what do? They tell their buddies. And then that kind of gets the rumor mill and gets to somebody that actually has the ability to trade it. Or maybe Marco Rubio has a trading account. Like who knows, right? And it's like in some instances, they consider that public information, right? So you can see that a lot. That's why I don't really recommend trading Forex, because in Forex, that sort of a thing is so dominant in the action that you can't compete. I feel like that in treasuries, there's like a perfect balance of, there's enough informational stuff that you can actually go and find, in addition to other regular flows that have to happen, that kind of gives you the room to work into treasuries. And that's why I like the treasuries. It's so easy to move money around as a favor between politicians, companies, NGOs, and PACs. Yeah, dude, I did not realize how bad the NGO thing had gotten. Because I saw something the other day that said that like some 30% of New York City jobs are from non-government organizations. So that's some serious money floating around out there. Yeah. I don't like that coming back up. Do we have... Okay. I don't have volume behind it. I don't think that I need to panic yet. But I am a little bit concerned about myself becoming distracted and missing it. So I need to pay attention a little bit here. NGOs are almost single-handedly responsible for the downfall of... was that supposed to be societies? Yeah, well, it's I don't really know. I've never worked for an NGO, so I don't really know how that all works, or like, should there be something being done about it, or whatever, right? But try some well, okay. So you said for the downfall of societies, and I just kind of felt like that was maybe a little bit too strong. That's why I wasn't sure if that's what you were saying. How are NGOs single-handedly responsible for the downfall of societies? Well, I suppose that if it wasn't for NGOs, we certainly wouldn't be to the place that we are today culturally. That's certainly the case, I feel. But I don't know. I think the thing that I keep coming back to, and I feel like I'm able to maybe explain how I feel about this sort of a thing better now with a simple pop culture example. I think that you want to be like Gandalf the Grey from The Lord of the Rings. Because the whole thing about Gandalf, that was a good downtick. The whole thing about Gandalf is that he is basically a minor god sent by the major gods to Middle Earth to teach the people of Middle Earth how to be good. And so he is basically banned from using his true power. Basically, the whole story of Lord of the Rings is basically Gandalf holding back the whole time. And they do a really, really good job of showing this in the movies. That it's like, okay, he knows that the mines of Moria are like a really bad place to go. He doesn't necessarily know why. He just knows that they probably shouldn't go there, right? But when they're all climbing through the mountain and complaining and the way appears blocked, he doesn't try and like persuade them or anything like that. He just says, let the ring bearer decide. Right? Because if he were to say, no, this way is better, we're going to keep going this way, it would rob the fellowship of the opportunity to make their own decisions and learn from making their own decisions. That's also why Gandalf always seems to disappear at inopportune moments, like especially in The Hobbit. Oh, we just got attacked by this and that and the other. Where were you, Gandalf? Oh, sorry, I had something to do, right? He always leaves when there's some growth that needs to happen, right? And so this is kind of like this underlying theme through the whole books that like it's soft power. We're not trying to coerce people into doing things. Like this whole, like the problem that I have with DEI, because, you know, we acknowledge markets aren't efficient. There's problems with markets. So if there's something that we want to see reflected, we kind of have to create systems to kind of encourage it, right? But that to me is like a coercion. You're playing God at that point. You're kind of removing people's ability to figure out and do things on their own, right? So when it comes to all of these sorts of things, well, I kind of feel like that to some extent NGOs have done that. Basically, there are a lot of government organizations and a lot of billionaires too, frankly, that are playing more the part of Saruman than of Gandalf, right? But at the same time, I don't think that it's my place to come in and say, well, we can just completely wipe this clear and do things this way, because then I would also be doing that, right? So all I can really do is explain the system as it works right now. You know? NQ to Chinatown. Let's see here. So let me make sure I catch everybody's comments here. Yeah, I live in Berlin and I've never owned a car as many people I know. Really. We're the opposite in America. You nearly laughed out of a building for not owning a car oftentimes. It shows how irresponsible you can be that you can get or take care of one. Yeah. Uzi says, NGOs are almost single-handedly responsible for the downfall of societies. We also wouldn't have as big of a problem with immigration. That's definitely true. Like, immigration has definitely been very much pushed by NGOs. I saw this thing very, very interesting, that the push for immigration in the late 1800s had a lot to do with Jews being persecuted in Russia and so forth. And like the people that were kind of pushing or were very often Jewish. Now they were tying it into the whole, this whole conspiracy theory thing that I don't agree with, but it was just kind of interesting to me, like immigration 100 years ago and like what was driving that. There are some parallels to immigration today, but I also think that there are many different reasons too. Right? Like there's this whole thing with like population's not growing fast enough and our entitlement structure is going to collapse if there's not enough workers to support it. Right? And I think that like importing voters is a much larger part of it now. Probably could have spared a few thousand kids the nightmare of, the T-social contagion. Yeah, but you know what? On that one, if non-government organizations didn't exist, I'm sure that there would be some other type of organization pushing that stuff, right? I think when it comes to NGOs specifically, like there are things that NGOs can do with immigration that other types of organizations couldn't. So I think that it's a very, very astute observation that NGOs have had a major, major impact on how immigration is going. But like this, I think that we probably still would have had a lot of. Yeah, I probably shouldn't go too deep into it, but some of that cultural stuff I think would have happened anyways. So, by the way, was there a headline that I had missed? Traders fully priced 3/4 point ECB hikes this year. Hikes? 3 hikes in the ECB, really? Saudi prince is said to push Trump to continue Iran war per the New York Times. That's probably more what's pushing us. So, let me ask you a question. Particularly you, Uzi. Do you think that having my take profit at 14.5 was the right call? I mean, I could have squeezed more out of it. I could have. I don't know. Let's wait to see if we can find a better spot. It did bounce a good amount, though. So, like, we're in about the right area. Should I, stress about 2 ticks? I don't know. I'd still say that was a pretty good trade. Did it ever go, did I get adverse excursion on that at all? Oh, how come I can't see today's? It should totally be in there. Oh, there it is. Right? 2, 3, 24. Oh yeah, today's the 2. Oh, it does say that it went 2 against me. Oh, but I guess that's probably 2 against me from where I initially bought. I don't think that I ever went negative. Because I took 2 contracts and I actually did that at least twice. So, wasn't bad. Not bad. I'm going to give that like an A-. Uzi says, nah, don't mess that. Don't stress that. You might have been able to carry it lower, but you'd be waiting till like 9:45, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Oh, yeah. You think it's going to take that long? I'm definitely, still of the opinion. So now that we're past the extended session 2 Sigma, well, we could still go to the R2 Sigma, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait around for that. So, but I'm feeling better about like taking a live trade, because now I am seeing the market kind of reflect a little bit of how I feel. That like, I'm not convinced that at the end of 5 days that the Iran war will be over. It might be good news at the end of 5 days, but it kind of seems to me like there are some things going on that kind of prevent us from de-escalating. Although I have to say, Mr. Mohammed bin Salman, who, I for some reason, I would really like to meet that guy. I hear that they say like you go when you're talking to like Saudi princes and things like that, and they'll be like, "Oh, I like that watch. You're supposed to give it to them." Oh, you like this watch? Yeah, it's very good. It's a Casio. Please have it. He seems like an interesting guy. I would like to understand more about what makes that guy tick, because he's one of the most powerful people in the world, and we don't know anything about him. What does Mohammed bin Salman like to do in his time off, if he ever gets any? But if you want to continue to push America to keep the war going, you should maybe put up a little yourself, huh? I just realized your ZN levels are wrong. Oh, they are wrong. Oh my God. I should still be in it. I should be in it to 12.5. Or 13. Let's say 13. And considering that there's 2,000 traded at 13, I would have gotten it. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. I think that fits a little bit more. Because I felt like it's not like they're not going to go through those levels or anything. It just it felt like it blew through it a little bit too easily, Oh, I was about to make a comment about 12.5, but then I saw your levels were wrong and assumed mine were. Oh, yeah. No, so I should come over here and check my output and see. Let's see what it said. Error during volatility import, the same key has already been added. So I got some duplicates in there, but that doesn't explain why doesn't add this one. Huh. I was thinking today after the stream I should release the version that we got, but I'm kind of making me think that there's still something wrong there, still something to change. Yeah, but there's the 12 half kiss. Yeah, one contract. You haven't had any issues with it at all. I don't know why you are. Yeah. Well, the one thing is that I never got on my computer last... Like, usually what'll happen is I'll leave it running so that it will collect data while I'm gone. And then when I come home, I turn it off because it'll make the room hot. But I never got the chance to do that, so it was open all night. So it may have something to do with that. But the thing that really bothers me is that I put a ton of debugging in there. So like if it is unable to grab the number, it's supposed to tell me why. And there's no log messages about it. And then at the same time, it's telling me that there are some days last week, so relatively recent ones since I've made the fix, that have duplicate entries. Well, let's come and check that. Let's come and check that. Wait, did I? You want a clean volatility file? I can send you my... I think that I copied out my volatility file because it's only going back to the 16th. But there's not duplicate entries in there. So what's it complaining about? Maybe it's not that one. Maybe it's the ES one. No, not that one either. Well, did I move it? If I come over here to my archive, market data. Yeah, I did. I'm wondering how much I care now to copy it out right now. Should have like, should be able to open it. There we go. Okay, plus. See. Cool. moved some stuff to make room and just open that this one is still good. Yes, it is. It's all good. It's kind of interesting to me, by the way. This push lower did not result in a push lower in cumulative delta. In fact, the cumulative delta has been recovering through this. So what's with that? But our levels worked really well. Oh, yeah. Also, I should come in here and clear this. Yeah. Much better. So when I done that, still, yeah, I think it would. Yeah. Busy says, I think that's why I turned my PC off at 11 a.m.-ish and back on at 6:20 a.m.-ish. Yeah. So it might be that, like, if it checks it at the wrong time, the volatility is not there or something like that. You have it going back to last November in your file? Or does it go back to in mine? Yeah, back to October. Pretty cool. That means that we have enough data to actually do like a practical backtest with it now, don't we? Maybe we should look at that. Although I've been wondering, like, should I... You know, oftentimes it's really hard for me to decide what I should be doing with my time. Because there's so many good uses that we can do. And I tend to forget what I'm focused on. I still think that the best thing is trading platform. You know, if it hadn't come in here and I'd seen some opportunities, maybe we would be programming that a little bit. I definitely should be doing some of it today. But sometimes I wonder if I should be spending more time backtesting portfolio level strategies. Like I went and I did the basic stuff to do basically a momentum strategy on futures. What if I did a momentum strategy on micro futures? Only the instruments that have micro futures in the CME, and can you get a momentum strategy that works pretty well with those? Like that'd be really interesting. Or should I be doing it with stocks? Because if you come in and you start doing stocks and you start taking into account things like volume and fundamental metrics about the company, then you know, there's a lot of interesting things that you can do. And not only might those afford opportunities to, you know, put money at risk in a more viable kind of a system sort of a thing, you know, but actually make a product that other investors would be interested in investing in. Like that's kind of more the professional route. So I was talking to somebody that they were married to a portfolio manager at one point. I was kind of like, I wish I spend more time on that sort of thing. And Steffa, could we meet to trade outside? Wait, what did he say? I don't see any message from him. Did he delete it? No, I don't see it. Oh, that's weird. Or is that vital? Why not 12 p.m. lunchtime? Just work-related teams. Oh, and stuff. I'm from Berlin too. Oh, okay. There it is. Why didn't I see that message before? I guess it's because it's blue. We could meet to trade outside. We've had quite a few people from Germany, right? That's one of the other ironies is that the channel would probably do better if I streamed like after market close. Like if I streamed, because that's like peak live stream watching time. But then you wouldn't have live trading. So I'm hearing the news squawk say that one of the energy companies is declaring force majeure, which basically means that people are free from their contracts. Moving down a little bit. I'm not quite sure why that would have moved them, but there did appear to be a little bit of a reaction there. I should also note that while I feel like the treasuries have been declining pretty good here this morning, the S&P 500 has been much more measured and range bound. It's a little bit more, at least in the last like 30 minutes. Okay, Bank of England's pill is talking. That could also be. Fog of uncertainty in which we always operate cannot be an excuse for inaction. Let's go treating in Kit Kat. Oh man. I had never heard of I had heard of Berghain, obviously. But I had never really heard of Kit Kat before people started talking about it on TikTok. I saw a TikTok the other day of a girl DJ bragging that she did a DJ set on the main floor of Kit Kat naked. I was like, whoa, wait, I didn't know they got that serious over there. Actually, I did. I didn't know. They do stuff in there. They do stuff in there. That's kind of the shocking thing, is that a place like that could become so well known. Because those are usually like, if you know, you know, sort of a thing, right? At least that's what I thought it was. That's another thing, is sometimes I wonder, like, maybe I should be spending more time on my music. It's kind of funny, like, well, I would have liked to have gone back and, like, out of high school, known that trading and finance was the thing that I was really actually interested in, and that I can learn what I want to learn about programming on my own. I'm smart enough to do that, and, you know, learn that on my own and go more into finance. But with that, I've actually been the best decision for me, because I do think I am a better computer scientist than I am a trader or investor. Like not only am I just better at it now, but I think that, like, everything about my personality and temperament and everything is better suited to that than to trading, for instance. Right? But then software engineering going to go away? I really don't think it is, but I'm sure seeing a lot of people all of a sudden this week that are really, really convinced that it is. And then what would I do? Well, I guess I can fall back onto finance. But then there's all these other kind of things that are maybe a little harder to reproduce that could also be doing. Like maybe in this future economy, like making music is the way to go. And then I'll regret not spending more time developing my production skills. Maybe that gets taken over by AI too, though. Does kind of look like they're starting to develop a bit of a hole here around the 13. I wouldn't say 30,000 contracts is too much, but it's been now what, 15 minutes? FCC bans all new routers not made in America. Really? Now, I find that really, really interesting because I've read a lot of stuff suggesting that Chinese manufacturers putting backdoors into all sorts of things. And like a backdoor in networking software would really, really make sense. So like requiring all of the sudden that it should be in the United States. Is that just a precaution? Or is that like a we just found out about something and it's a big deal and we really need to do something now? It's very odd to me that I have not heard anything about this, that there was not any kind of rumblings about it happening before it did. That just seems like out of the blue. And I only see this on Reddit in the Linus Tech Tips subreddit, when that seems like a big deal to me. And I don't know where my router has been manufactured. I feel foolish holding long-term treasuries. You know what? I think that it's going to be like treasuries are taking some pain right now, but they'll recover. Because there's going to be some economic damage done here. Cisco used to do that for the NSA. Well, we were talking yesterday about, you know, they have a little device sitting in the back of the server room that nobody's allowed to talk about. That's always been a thing. Clavicular. Is that how you say that? Clavicular made it to Saturday Night Live? Huh. I keep hearing a lot about this guy now recently, but like, do people really actually watch this guy? I really question that if anybody really actually watches that. I'm just checking over here. Is there anything going on? I should note that oil kind of started to rise back up again as we were falling in the treasuries, but nothing too crazy. Jensen Huang claims AGI has been achieved. Was that one he was talking to Lex Friedman? Okay. Video exposing Chamath. Oh boy. Oh boy. And Seth, how have you been, Seth? I've been okay. I've been, since starting working up again in December. Well, with a full-time position. I was doing contract work before that. Did I tell you guys, like, I did my taxes, and it actually turned out that I made just as much money last year as I always do. Can you believe that? So it all worked out. All worked out. But I owe state taxes, and I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna deal with it. I may just sell some of my stock portfolio and pay it. But since that time, I feel like that people in the house are still kind of acting a little bit stressed. Like we're still don't know if the next paycheck is going to be there or not. And so I've been on a kick to try to really get everybody to relax in the evening. So I can only watch relatively mild shows that they've seen before. They know what's going to happen, so that there's nothing driving you from watching the TV when you're doing that. Turn the screens off earlier. I've been practicing my handwriting. My wife has a coloring book. So that's what we've been doing lately. And then it got really warm here in Utah. So I did do some work on the garden on Saturday. And it looks like my wife did a lot yesterday. They've been outside. Although I'm kind of wondering if it's worth it to really spend anything on my garden this year, because I'm really concerned that it's going to be a super, super dry year. I mean, already, because the snowpack is practically non-existent, there's going to be major water restrictions in Utah. But we're headed for a super El Nino, and I think with the way that works, you're not actually in the El Nino until the end of the summer to the fall, right? So it's a super El Nino is maybe more what you would see this next winter. I think that's the way that it works. In the meantime, it seems like you're going to continually get this huge high pressure ridge down over Arizona and Mexico that keeps Utah dry as well. And so I think that Utah could have a dry summer. And that might make it really hard to keep a garden going, Well, we have sprinklers and everything, but I don't know. I just don't want to plant a bunch of stuff and then just watch it shrivel up, right? I also don't want to go and buy a bunch of tomato plants and then have a big frost. That's another thing I'm worried about. Oh, we made a new low. I didn't notice that. 11. Oh, but we're polling because we've got some news coming up here, don't we? Yes, we got PMI coming. S&P PMI is coming up. So yeah, that's what we've been up to. And the new hobby of the year is calligraphy. Okay, interesting. It's a pretty good amount of volume came through there. So services 51.1, manufacturing 52.4, higher than the forecast 51.4. So the composite is actually lower than expected, but the market seems to have read that negatively. That is actually like the amount of volume and volatility that came out through that was a lot more than I would have expected from that news. So why was there a bunch of trading off that? Prices paid. Oh, interesting. So this data point does have some data from when the war with Iran kind of started, and it did show prices paid going up. That's why. Well, where is the regular session -2 sigma? 0.5 half. So I came across this video on Reddit from it's a YouTube channel. It's not a huge YouTube channel. 26,000 subscribers. Still slightly bigger than us, but not a huge channel. Chamath got caught. I find Chamath to be a really interesting enigma because every time he talks, I'm like, yes, that's right. This is one of those things that like nobody seems to understand, and you know it. This is good. That's great, right? But then when I look at like his SPACs and everything else like that, it really kind of seems to me that like he's made his money off of hype and not necessarily from good investments. So should I really listen to what he says? I don't know. It seems to me like it's a force for good. The thing that bothers me, so I saw this, I had this experience the other day, because the CEO of the company that I'm working for is selling his house. And I thought it was this one house that I saw on YouTube. Somebody made a YouTube walkthrough of this house. And somebody else showed me the real house, like the real listing for it. And that one was the real one was even nicer than this house that they toured. I would probably rather have the one on YouTube that was toured, because it had like a lake and all this fun stuff to do, whereas the real CEO's house is got like gilding everywhere, and so like it doesn't seem practical to live in with kids, at least. Okay. And they, the person who was showing it to me was like, isn't that disgusting? And like, I'm like, no, I don't, that's not how I feel about it at all. And I was thinking about it yesterday in particular, because there was a pretty big thread on r/science where these guys, they did this study, and they basically were trying to determine, are liberal people like that support redistribution, do they support it because they are envious of the rich, or do they do it because they don't feel that the rich have earned it? And so the way that they did it in this study was like they if they explained to them what the CEO had done, that they had worked really hard to make that money, then they were more okay with saying, oh, they should keep their money, was what the study said. I think there's some flaws in that study. Okay, because, well, of course you're going to say if they earned it, then they can keep it. But people have this tendency to think that other people's success is random and their own success was deserved, right? So we have biases with that I don't think that the study accounted for. But I don't feel that way on either account. I think that not everybody's going to have the same resources. Not everybody's going to have the same capital. And yeah, there's going to be some people that have a lot of capital that didn't work hard, that don't deserve it. And to me, this doesn't make me angry or envious or anything. That's just the way that it is. Everybody's given the thing that they're given in this life, and that's God has given that to you because that's what he needs. The thing that bothers me is when I see people that do have the capital and I feel that they're not being responsible with what they've been entrusted with, right? Like these people that, oh, okay, you're a rich billionaire, and then you use that to manipulate and coerce other people into doing what you want, right? That bothers me. People, they have a ton of money and or they have a community. I mean, that's the thing that I've got. I have a good amount of money, but really, if I'm rich in something, it's rich in community. I have the best community. Really what we've built here is, I think, quite special. And it doesn't have to be a huge community to be very, very valuable. Very, very valuable. And I look at other people that have communities, and what do they do with their communities? They basically hypnotize everybody into constantly being stressed out about whatever the latest controversy is. They basically they use it to enrich themselves and do things that are objectively harmful to people and objectively harmful to society. And that really, when I see that's the thing that really bothers me. Is people that have been given stewardship of something and are abusing that stewardship. That's what bothers me, But it doesn't seem to me like Chamath is a person like that, so I have to watch that video later then. Wait, what was this? A video on Reddit. Picking cotton from a plant. Does it really come out that cleanly all the time? That seems way too satisfying. There's no way that it's that satisfying. It must be most of the time it doesn't come out like that. That must be like the rare cases or something. There's no way that like regular cotton picking is that clean and satisfying. Do any of you guys know anything about that? That seems like, 2,000 comments. Oh, let's recenter things, by the way. Vital says it's coming out like that. Okay. But if you repeat it a million times a day, it's not that satisfying. I bet it probably becomes old. So like, what I still want to do this. I just haven't been able to find the plant. But I really, really want to have saffron plants. And apparently the way that saffron works is you take the stems of the flower. So you basically, you have to get down on the ground with tweezers and pull the stamens out of the flower, right? The little part that has the pollen on it. And then there's this whole process. You put it in this thing and you dry it. And that's how they make saffron. And I'm interested in it because it needs a climate where it's really, really dry during the summer, but then it's a cold winter and high altitude. So like basically you could do it in Iran and you could do it in Utah. So hey, let's grow saffron in Utah instead of alfalfa, right? Well, the problem is that harvesting saffron is extremely labor intensive, and who's going to do that, right? So I guess in my mind, when I think about like hand farming, you know, I think of more like saffron rather than cotton. I didn't realize that cotton is there. You know, they've kind of engineered the plant to do what we need it to, huh? That's interesting. Oh, that's so interesting, actually. There's some real volume coming in here. Wow, Copilot has lost $50 billion. Oh, Copilot lost $50 million? No, there's no way. But they put it in Notepad for us, though. I thought that would have helped. Yeah, and the Microsoft wants to put Copilot in the operating system and everything. Nobody wants it. I don't know what's going on over there at Microsoft, man. Something I think. Again, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm criticizing everybody else. Because when I say these things, I don't necessarily mean it to be like, I'm criticizing this rich person. I think that they should do things differently, even though I kind of do. But I'm just saying it's not necessarily my place to be saying what this person should do or not. What I'm saying is I've seen what other people have done. And if I was ever in that situation, I would hope that I don't do that. Right. And the thing that I see more than anything is that we get caught in this bubble. Like you're a Microsoft, you're all AI, everything all the time. All you're thinking about is how can I make more money from AI? And you're not actually going out there into the real world and seeing what the real customers want. Right? And I feel that these kinds of dumb decisions in business always seem to stem from somebody that their life becomes too disconnected from the lives of others. Right? Like, I don't want, you know, and the hard thing is that in some respects you're kind of forced to, right? Like if you're really, really wealthy, you kind of need to live somewhere where you can have security and things like that, right? So you might not be able to live among the regular people. You know what I mean? But you've got to do something. You've got to do something to fight against that tendency to for your life to become so easy and so disconnected from what regular people are actually looking at that you have no clue what's going on, and you start making bad decisions because of that. Because again, I think that the model here is Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. I just keep coming back to Gandalf. I guess that's the new obsession, isn't it? Right? Gandalf convenes with kings and hobbits alike. See? That's what you got to do. That's how you stay grounded. And I think that the entire AI space has evidence of not staying grounded all over it. Let's see here. Apol says, it really boils down to it's obvious upper management really is using AI like they say they are. AI is sycophantically tricking these idiots into thinking people want or are using it. Oh, wait, let me read the first one. The great exodus of people leaving Microsoft is happening. Thank goodness. Even normies are leaving that stuff. And that's what matters. That's the real sign it's become too much finally for normies even. Well, so I one of the things that kind of bothers me, when I say it bothers me, it's like there's something going on there, and I can definitely see it's a thing, but I don't necessarily know where it's going or why. But I would say that regular people really hate AI right now. Regular people really despise it, really. Like they did this polling, and AI was like polling as bad or worse than Congress. Like really bad. So I don't know if it's because people don't like the AI slop, or if they don't like being constantly told that they're about to be automated out of a job. Whatever the deal is. But it seems to me like that the normal people have come to despise AI in all of its forms. I really enjoy it. I ask ChatGPT so much stuff. I ask it so many questions. Pretty inconsequential things. And things that, like, if it gave me a completely wrong answer, I think I would see, right? And there are some times where I'm like, let's see about that and see if I can find the information it has, right? But I'm usually more asking it for more inconsequential things. Like we could ask it about picking cotton. That would be a good thing to ask ChatGPT about. But is upper management using AI like they say they are? It seems to me, from what I've seen, that they've been using it for quite some time to answer questions and collect information for them and stuff. But that within the last 6 months, that you're starting to see management use agentic AI for large tasks. Yes. I think that is happening. And they're starting to think, oh, all of these technical things that I would have to ask somebody to make for me, now I can do it myself. And that's really exciting for them, because that's like their greatest blind spots. It's like one of that thing, like, if I only had this information and this information, I could make better decisions. And that's also one of the biggest costs for a lot of businesses, is all of those employees that are doing that stuff. But I think the thing that people are still missing is that somebody has to tell the AI what to do. And somebody has to interpret what it's saying and know when it's being stupid and whatnot. And to some extent, I don't think that ever goes away. Even if you deal with the hallucinations and all of that, there's still this alignment issue. Like it becomes a genie, and how do you know that what you tell the genie actually gives you what you want? Right? Part of the way that you do that is knowing what you're doing, like understanding the technology that you're actually dealing with. Right? And so that's why what I have found is that it makes people more efficient, but it doesn't necessarily reduce the number of people that you need, because you still need experts. You basically, the number of people that you need is based more on having the expertise rather than like overall throughput. Does that make sense? And I think that like maybe it has been that way in tech for a long time in some cases, because there are a lot of tech jobs where people don't actually do that much work. And why do we have them around? Well, it's because they know some things, that they're the expert in certain things that are important. Yeah. Hey Paul, just stole this funny prank idea. Make people study for 13 years, then 4 years more in college, put them in extreme debt, and then there's the funny part, replace them with AI. Listen, if AI really did replace everybody, I would still force my children to go through 13 years and then 4 more years in college. It's about more important to build your brain than anything. But yeah, we can kind of bounce back a little bit harder than I thought here. It was a really good trade, but this was one of the first times in a while where like the low did not end up being anywhere near our pivots, right? Time. No, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, so we get to stay for another hour. I am kind of sitting here like, what am I going to do with another hour? We just keep talking. Well, we could take another trade. This is a time when there's been some good trades, but I'm not sure I understand why it's going the way that it is. And there seems to be some good volume behind this as well, by the way, especially in the 30-year. Like, the 30-year is really, really pumping. As we're coming up, the 30-year is coming up harder than the others, and we're flattening. So we're getting a bull flattener, which is a little bit odd. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it's a very, very interesting move. I don't know. At the company that I work at, anybody that I've spoken to, even people kind of more in upper management, all seem to understand this, that like, yeah, AI is really, really useful. It's made me more productive, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we need less workers. And that's my opinion. Like, I still think that it is kind of a consequence from complexity. That when you come in and you have that increase in efficiency, but you're having that increase in efficiency across every small business out there, because I really think the ones that it's going to help the most are going to be small businesses. These businesses that, they could hire somebody to do this thing or that thing, but they just can't afford it right now. And that's like the thing that they need to propel their business to the next level. And if you have AI, now all of a sudden you're able to do some of those things, and all of those barriers to growth go away. So if you have a small business and they 10x because of AI, and you have that happen a million times over across the country, that's going to create a lot of jobs. I think that's going to create a lot of jobs. In fact, when you start thinking about some of those numbers, right, we're talking about like a million time gains, right? The problem you're going to have is that there's not enough people to work. There could be this thing in the future. Can you imagine a future where like there's so much work out there and they just can't find anybody that wants to do it? And there's just tons of jobs sitting out there waiting for somebody to just pick it up and do it for a month or whatever, and then it's done, and then you make a ton of money, right? Oh, that would be something else. It almost sounds like a video game, right? Oh, I need some money. Okay, I'll go to the job board. I'll do a couple of jobs, and then I have enough money to buy the clock or whatever it is, the Stardew Valley, right? I think that is a possibility. I think that is a possibility that nobody talks about. Nobody even considers. Let's see here. Jobs for who doing what? Well, managing AIs probably. Right? There's going to be so like the thing is that another thing I've seen is that like at tech companies and white collar work, right? Because companies have not been hiring a lot lately, like all of the teams are stretched. All of the teams are stretched. Even with the AI. Because like again, the AI, it allows some things to go faster. That results in more things that I have to do. That results in more people coming to me because they're completing their tasks faster. That means that they will come across a task that involves me more often, right? Yeah, you can hardly get a job anywhere for any reason. Most jobs postings are fake and filtered nonsense, which has been proving to be effing up. Oh yeah, no. Okay. Now the cost of creating content is so low that there's just spam content everywhere, and it becomes very difficult to differentiate the spam content from real content. Like with jobs, is this a real job or not? And the only way that people can really tell that it's not a real job is that it just keeps getting reposted and nobody ever gets hired for it, even though it's been up for like a year. And like that's the majority of the stuff. Like if I go to LinkedIn, half of the jobs that I'll see on there are ones that were there and I had applied to 6 months ago. That's a real problem. It's a big problem. And it's probably, we talked about that yesterday, right? That's why I think that they're starting to put age verification and probably humanness verification into everything in the future. And it's probably going to be a huge invasion of our privacy, and there's going to be all sorts of awful, even dystopian consequences from that, and there's probably nothing we can do to stop it. Because I really don't see the businesses being sustainable any other way. The spam is just too intractable of a problem otherwise. But yes, everybody's struggling, and it's a combination of relatively high interest rates and policy uncertainty. Right? Every time that we think we're getting into a spot where, okay, maybe companies can feel a little bit more confident about hiring again and whatnot, because first we had the tariffs, and then when the tariffs were done, and then we got into the fall, and what was it over the fall? I can't even remember anymore. But there was crazy stuff going on over the fall. Oh, there was the government shutdown. That's really what it was, is the government shutdown. And now we have a war with Iran, right? If we can, and this is the exact same thing that I said about those other things, right? Okay, We get done with the war with Iran, not too much economic damage done, and then companies can start hiring again. But what keeps happening is then Donald Trump does something else that kind of makes people be like, maybe I shouldn't hire people right now. It's totally, I hate to say it, love him or hate him, it's totally Donald Trump right now. It's just not going to magically get better or be easier. No, I think that companies at some point will need to hire. Because what happens is you'll get a state change, right? And these state changes happen very, very quickly. Just like, it really was like, man, they were hiring like mad after COVID, and tech companies were spending like really over hiring, and everybody said you're over hiring, right? We saw that, and then it immediately flipped to like nobody's hiring, and the job market is absolutely terrible, right? If you get back into interest rates are in a neutral zone, we're not worried about inflation, we're not worried about policy uncertainty, and business can just business, then what you're going to get is, I have to grow. I have to grow as fast as I can. I can't be left behind, and I'm going to invest in whatever I need to make it happen. Similar to the way that some of these guys were investing into AI. Like with Facebook, it's like offering people 5-figure salaries and everything just to have the AI expertise, right? It'll come back out to a point where it's like, oh, you're using AI and you think that AI means that you don't need to have as many employees, then I don't want to be in your stock, because that means that you don't have a sustainable business. You're a business that's not growing hard enough. I want to be in a business that they're using AI and they still need more people, and they can't find enough people to drive the AIs to do all the stuff that they want to do. That's the company that's growing. I tell you, when the market turns into that, it flips so hard. They go so ham with it, because a lot of the way that these management people become management is by taking big risks and just plowing head on into it, saying, this is what we're going to do, and just going, and they always take it too far. They always take it too far. Because there's nothing in that system to say, okay, but there's like, okay, you've done this and this and this, so now let's chill out. They don't do that, right? I'm break even 2 days in a row in this volatility. Yeah, that's good. And when it gets like this, if you make it through the day and you don't take a trade, I think that's a victory, right? Because every time that it moves, it makes you want to take a trade. But trades in environments like this can really kill you. I need to think of, because again, I what I just said there, I don't feel is very Gandalf-like, right? Gandalf wants you to figure that out on your own. Gandalf doesn't say, here's the secret to day trading. Markets are more statistically efficient than they are informationally efficient. No, Gandalf sits there and he says, I wonder why that happened. Oh, this doesn't really make sense. If you think that this is but this happened, that contradicts you. What's with that, right? Gandalf wants you to figure it out yourself. You need to be more like that, I think. Anyways, hey Paul, like how data centers tell every stupid small town, little city councils, it brings jobs in. So many after construction, many of them employ up to 12 people. Many being Indians remote for real. Really? Well, I have heard that there are a lot of jobs in building data centers, though. There's got to be more than 12 jobs in some of these data centers. Come on. Especially these ones where like the building is that large. Like, holy crap. Man, 16. We're bouncing around at 16. But even after it's built, there should be a lot of people to maintain it. Like you say, 12 people, and I'm kind of like that. You would probably need 12 people just to be janitors to keep the building up. But I don't know anything about that business, so. Elon will bring all data centers into space in 3 years. I saw a thumbnail for a YouTube video and I didn't watch it. That was like they were complaining that people wanted to move all the data centers into space and that was a really, really bad idea, they felt. That is something that I've heard talked about, though. I just ask you to look into many people's complaints that around a lot of them are really, you think, oh, I'm just saying it, regardless of what it is, a building that large requires a lot of upkeep, right? Yeah, you do have air filters, but I suppose servicing those is maybe done by contractors. But, well, you know, when we were running a local data center, there was a good number of people that worked in the data center. And they had to be on site. I guess I feel bothered by what you're saying, Apol, because it just doesn't sound optimistic to me. That's really the heart of it, is I always want to, it pays better to be optimistic, right? There'll be jobs pop up other places. I really think that the issues that we're seeing right now in the job market have more to do with interest rates and political uncertainty than they do AI. Wow, the temperature increase of up to 4 to 5 degrees downwind in neighborhoods. Is that for real? That's crazy. In Arizona. Yeah. Well, the big thing with the data centers was that the data center would come in and it would jack up everybody's power bill. But I think that's a problem they're going to solve, so that the data center pays for all of the increase. Whenever we're talking about this, I always think about this image I have in my head of us all standing in front of Sam Altman's, you know, biggest data center, and at the beginning of the day, they come to the front gates and they say, okay, we have 5 positions this morning, and there's this whole camp of people that camp out in front of his house, you know, that are basically there to try and get those jobs that happen, right? And then you get chosen and you go in, and what is it? You're basically like a slave driver to the AIs, and they push you super hard, and it's miserable, right? Like I think we could make a movie out of this. It would be a good movie. It's like in what did they do this? In Cinderella Man, right? In Cinderella Man, and he's a boxer, but he broke his wrist, so he has his hand in a cast, and he has to like put shoe shine over the cast to make it all black so that they don't notice that he has a cast on. And then at the beginning of the day, you know, certain number of people have been fired, and there's all of these people that they want to work, and so he picks people out of the crowd, and then those are the people that they get a trial run that day, right? It'll be just like that, except for that you'll be in front of Sam Altman's house, and him picking you might mean that you have to, you know, do certain favors for him. And I'll be there. Meanwhile, I'll be there. You know, bumming power off. There's some guy, he's got a solar station or whatever, and I've got to charge my laptop back up so that I can program. And then they'll be like, Seth, why do you even bother? Like, you can't compete with the robots. Why would you even try programming? And you know that we don't have enough money to buy AI tokens, so you're never going to be able to make that trading platform that you want to make, or that video game that you want to make. But I'm going to keep doing it because I just love doing it. That's what the future is going to be. That's the dystopian future. I don't think that future is going to happen. I hope that future is not going to happen. But if things go south, that's what I'm going to do. That, and maybe you know, people can pay me $5 to write their name in calligraphy or something. I hear that's business. People do okay with businesses like that. How do you not know about this? Well, I have definitely not heard that it increases the temperatures. The main concerns that I've heard about AI data centers are that your electricity bill goes up, and at least here in Utah, people are concerned about water usage, which I'm actually kind of, I don't think that the water is as big of a problem, because a lot of the water that they use doesn't just disappear. It just goes back into your water system. You will, with all respect, your own trading platform is a bad idea. You will never overrun Teton, Denali. Plus, yes, it will. There is no doubt in my mind that I can build a better platform than Sierra Charts. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. I know how that platform works. I can see some of the platform decisions that they've made, and I know what I would do different. And I know why it would make it better. I can have a platform that is both fast and flexible and easy to use. Right? What do they have in Sierra Charts? They have this Frankenstein, frankly. It's a Frankenstein where they hire contractors and tell them, whatever you do, just make sure that it's the most performant possible. And then there's no consideration given to where all of the settings should be, how all of these things synergize with each other. Is it actually easy for the user to figure out how to use it? What if I want to make my own indicator using this stuff? Can I actually access that data and use it efficiently? There was no consideration given to any of that stuff. And so you get this thing that's like pretty fast, but it has all of these big downsides to using it. And then because of that, Sierra Chart doesn't get a very, very large custom indicator ecosystem, right? Whereas we can build a platform that at least on your computer side is as fast, but is also much, much more flexible and has built-in facilities for doing like real serious analysis, like machine learning and integrating it with AIs, and built-in AI that can do things with the trading interface itself to show you stuff, right? Yeah. And then, you know, you get bigger, you build up over time, and maybe you can build it into having your own data service or whatever. All I know is that the platform itself, the actual piece of software, that you install on your machine, I can make a better one. No doubt in my mind. It's a risky thing. I don't think I could like spend all of my time on it, but I would love to. I would love to find an investor that wants to put like, you know, 2 million down and we hire a small team and then we do it. Because I really think it's needed. So that's the other thing is that, quite frankly, on the technical side, retail traders are like way behind. Because really, to be competitive in these things, you do need the machine learning part. And the machine learning just does not integrate very well with these existing platforms. The people that are doing the real like machine learning, they're usually using Python. And even then, they're having to build really large sections of their frameworks and stuff themselves. So it's still a lot of work. And then, like, some of the most popular, like the biggest platform for doing that stuff was owned by Quantopia or whatever that website was, you know, and they went out of business. So that framework has kind of been abandoned. I saw someone was doing a 3D DOM. You know, I've seen a lot of projects like that, and then they kind of disappear, but I don't know. Also, on the routing service, Sierra Charts does have their own routing service. I hear good things about it. I don't think that they have like such an advantage that it's like, okay, like you can use trading technologies still. I hear really good things about if you're using the Rhythmic, like the R Plus API where you pay $100 a month. That has really good routing. There's what's this other one? They have a connector for it in NinjaTrader, I think it is. Connections. IQ feed has really good data. So I don't think that their order routing is that particularly good or special. Is just better than CQG Continuum, right? That's real. Although I saw apparently NinjaTrader is changing that, like, if you're going through NinjaTrader brokerage, that you don't connect to Kinetic anymore, that the connection details are just handled for you. So maybe they're still using Kinetic under the covers, but it's basically not like a service with like a brand and all that stuff behind it anymore, right? Uzi says, "Oh God, the data feed." Yeah, it's continuing. They're just, but are they actually discontinuing it? Because I bet you that the data service that you use if you're in NinjaTrader brokerage is actually still being provided by Continuum. It's just that they don't have to tell your computer to connect to it, and they could change it to anything that they wanted. Really, I tried logging into it, and it kept on resetting the Jigsaw signal. So I went back to the Continuum feed. Oh, so are you saying that it doesn't play nice with the what do we call it? Can't even remember what we call it. No, it's different. It has less book levels on the instrument that they let you go over 10 on. Oh, so it's not Continuum. It's something even more different than that. Huh. Like on Continuum, you can go to 100, but their new feed cuts it down to 20. Well, that kind of sounds to me like I'm even less likely to go over to NinjaTrader brokerage. That kind of sounds to me like I need to make my own platform, right? I wonder if that has anything to do with them being bought by Kraken. Would they be doing this if they hadn't been bought by Kraken? Maybe it was like Kraken was working on that anyways, and they were getting data feed for futures and everything. And so now they're switching over to the Kraken stuff. I would imagine they need a proprietary feed for their B. Wait, what is B booking? What does that mean? B booking, or the B book model, is a Forex broker strategy where the client trades are internalized and not sent to external liquidity Oh, no, I don't think you're allowed to do that on futures, Susie. I don't think you're allowed to do that. I think the laws, like the rules with the CME, is that all orders have to be put on the exchange. That all orders have to go to the central limit order book. Allowed to do, isn't it? Dive deeper in AI mode, so let's ask it. Can you do this B booking with futures? Or are there rules from the CFTC or the CME that prevent this? Pretty sure bucket shops are... Well, that's different. That's different because you're not actually buying the future. In the United States, B booking as a business model where a broker internalizes and takes the opposite side of your trade is generally not allowed for exchange-traded futures. While this model is the standard for over-the-counter products like CFDs or retail Forex, futures markets are governed by strict open and competitive execution rules. Specifically, the open and competitive requirement under CFTC Rule 1.38, all futures trades must be executed using competitive methods on designated contract market, like the CME Group. A broker cannot simply warehouse your order and trade against you privately. And CFDs are illegal in the United States as well. So unless Kraken is making its own prop firm, but can they sell the data? Yeah, totally. I think that it probably is that Kraken was building data and is maybe pushing NinjaTrader over into switching everything to that. That could be the case. I haven't really seen a whole lot. Like when that message popped up in my NinjaTrader, I was surprised. I hadn't heard about that. Centralized clearing. Futures must be cleared through a central clearinghouse. This requires the trade to be officially recorded at the exchange, making it impossible for a broker to keep a trade off the book indefinitely as they might with a B-booked CFD. Like a customer stops at the brokerage. So the brokerage does know what everybody's positions are and at times could hedge themselves against it. Yeah. Like I see all of their retail traders are long, so they're going to go short. certain number of contracts to limit the amount of damage that could be done to them. And then that maybe makes your retail trade less likely to come out. It's probably not a major factor, though, to what happens. I do notice, like there's this thing where, like, so something I know happens is when these guys are trying to, like, spoof, for instance, that you don't just come in and use an account that's never taken a trade before. Like, they come in and they have it take some trades before. Like, they quote unquote season the account, which kind of suggests to me that algorithms out there have some way of knowing who you are and adjust accordingly. Because he says, I may just have to go back to a different data provider. Then NinjaTrader's Continuum has been fine, especially for the price, but their new feed sucks ass. I'll have to do something else. But explain to me the issue that Jigsaw had with it. What was it that he said? No, it has less books, but you said the Jigsaw signal AO. I went to. It kept on resetting the Jigsaw signal. What did you mean by it resets the Jigsaw signal? Oh, it keeps doing history requests. I don't know if it's Jigsaw or the feed itself. I would think that that's the feed itself, because Jigsaw, I don't think that Jigsaw sends messages back through. That's the whole point of why you can't use, man, what do we call it? The pipe? Whatever we call it. The bridge. That's what it is, the bridge. That's why you can't use the bridge with charts. Because they didn't want to have to build in this communication going back to say, yeah, I don't think it's Jigsaw either. So there's maybe just issues with it where it's requesting history when it doesn't need it. Well, do you use any of the advanced features of Jigsaw of NinjaTrader that would prevent you from using a free license? I had to buy 2 data feeds working with NinjaTrader and Jigsaw. Oh, I'm just going to stay in Continuum until it doesn't work anymore. Okay, fair enough. And that seemed to be unclear about if that was going to go away soon or what, but I need to work on my trading platform this week. I think we're close to being able to make a connection. I already paid for a lifetime license. So, but does your lifetime license give you rhythmic? Like if you come in here and you go to connections and you go configure, and then it shows you all of the different connections that you have. And when I look down in here, see there's my rhythmic, but there's not my, I can see my rhythmic because it's a demo one, right? But most full licenses now, they have rhythmic for NinjaTrader brokerage, but they don't have my rhythmic. No, I don't get it. Well, then your choices are basically Kinetic and IQ feed, huh? Or new platform. I believe NinjaTrader 8 discontinued rhythmic for NinjaTrader. Probably. Yeah, I think that if you are on Phillips Capital, that you can still get it. But I'm not sure that they even do new clients on Phillips Capital through NinjaTrader brokerage anymore. I think the old Ninja, it is. Oh no, it definitely is. And like the new, well, like for instance, the new Ninja Trader version has those little pie charts that show you how other Ninja Trader traders are positioned, which also I kind of have a problem with. But oh no, I have an option for Rhythmic with, but obviously not set up. Oh, but what would you do? Because what I had to do was I can't use my vendor license because my vendor license doesn't give me Rhythmic, but my, and I don't know if like a new demo license gives it to you or not, but my really, really old demo license does give it to me. And I've asked, like, can you turn this on in this other one? And they're like, nah, we can't do that. I didn't have a problem with kinetic data. It was just expensive. Yeah, it is. It's not too crazy if you just get CME data, but you can get you can do DX feed, and I haven't tried the DX feed's futures data, but they do futures data too. So if you spend $200 a month or something like that, then you can get the level 2 for stocks and the futures. I expect a deeper book for that money. Yeah, and why is it that only Rhythmic gives you like the full book? This is kind of, But then I'm not even sure how many of these platforms use Rhythmic. So I was able to get the API for it and everything, and I was asking ChatGPT about it, and ChatGPT said that like in the last 6 months, because we tried it before and I was like, I couldn't find, they don't have anything on there, right? And now all of a sudden it's there. ChatGPT says that it is changing, that Rhythmic has basically been changing their platform and making it more open, and that Rhythmic has kind of been growing because people want to come in and use it for automated trading. And that part of it is that like some of these brokers are creating their own closed ecosystem, and that's where Rhythmic was getting all of their customers from. And so Rhythmic has kind of had to shift to being able to provide its own stuff. So I don't know if there are other platforms that give you Rhythmic besides Jigsaw. And I suppose, I mean, the issue here is that on Ninja Trader we've got this fancy volatility script and the spreads and a couple of other really, really valuable tools that really, really help us when trading the treasuries. If Jigsaw had those built in, then I'd have no question just completely switching over to Jigsaw. But I suppose that if you really have no other choice, you can just use only the tools that come with Jigsaw, and you could trade that way, and we would do okay, because really it's more the informational edge anyways, right? But I like the idea that we're going to have enough of a platform to connect it to Rhythmic and use it for that sort of stuff within a few months. Seth just got to get his button gear. I have to figure out how to get all of the family over there in that room, sitting, listening to classical music and drawing or whatever, so that they're getting ready for bed. And meanwhile, Seth is programming, right? I would have liked to have programmed tonight, but I need to work out tonight. Yes. And I got some good work to do at work. I'm getting close. I've been on a project. I've been going as fast as I can, and I'm getting to the point where I can kind of connect things together and try a bunch of things. And I'm really excited to do this because it's a pretty big project that'll be pretty impactful to everybody. So, which probably means I'm going to release it and it's going to be a complete disaster and everybody will hate it. I am doing it in Rust. I'm doing it in Rust and Python. Well, we got about 5 minutes left. Let me just come through here. Make sure that there's not any major news stories or anything. Iranian missiles pound Israel overnight after U.S. claims progress on talks. Tehran appoints Larijani's successor. Cuts gas flows to Turkey. Aries' latest to gate investors in private credit fund, and here's who will gate next. That's just gonna. At what point does that turn into a real disaster for the rest of the market? I wonder. US PMI signal stagflation fears accelerating as war started. Yeah. Can you believe it's been like 4 weeks now? I am still using DTN IQ feed, but I also had to buy CME Group level 1 from NinjaTrader in order to trade. Oh, is that so? Are you saying that DTN IQ feed doesn't handle orders? It's been a long time since I've used them. Or, like, tested them, rather. I've never, like, used it, but I've demoed it. We're getting another big move here. Kuwaiti Army rocket shrapnel caused power lines to go out of service. We detected 17 hostile ballistic missiles in our airspace and destroyed 13 of them over the past 24 hours. Israeli Air Force investigating failure to intercept Iranian ballistic missile that struck Tel Aviv this morning. Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Any ship passing through the Strait of Hormuz requires full coordination with Iranian maritime sovereignty. My news squawk is noting that the market all started moving, but they do not have a headline yet. Donald Trump claimed JP Morgan Chase Damon Diamond personally directed the closure of his accounts, meeting Florida state jurisdiction over his $5 billion debanking lawsuits. Well, and it's really pushing treasuries up here. So the spoos are buying. Oil is tumbling. This definitely has a news event written all over it, but we just don't know what it is. Well, we got we can watch another 5 minutes. Maybe we'll find out by then. Because that did seem significant. So I just came across on Reddit this whole thing. Jack Reacher star Alan Richardson allegedly beats up neighbor in front of kids. And the beginning of this video that I'm seeing, it's him kicking him on the ground and shit. Like he's really he really did a number on him. But what preceded that? Yeah, the whole thing is a little weird because like the guy that just got kicked on the ground just gets up and just kind of looks annoyed by it, not like an actual serious thing. That's so weird. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. I'm sure there's got to be something like, you know, talks are going well, or but we're not getting the headline yet. Let's see here. According to their neighbor, he was cussing and throwing up the finger at Richardson and his kids because he didn't appreciate how loud their bikes were, and that's when it turned physical. Oh, so those kids are his. I'd like to hear Richardson's side because it looks like they're not in the neighbor's yard at the start of the video, and I feel like this could easily turn out to be a case of two guys having both gotten up in each other's faces, resulting in a physical altercation. That being said, if all their neighbor did was stand on his own property and speak, even if he was being a dick, there's no justification for violence. And treasuries are giving back some of those gains now. You know, maybe there's no headline. I mean, things like that can be driven just by the internals. I think that if there was like somebody blowing up or something like that, I don't think that it was in the treasuries. I think that it was, well, okay, oil is all over. Okay. So the headline is Gulf states weigh escalation to counter Iranian hostilities. So that's interesting because I don't read that as something explicitly dovish. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are losing patience with Iranian strikes. That's what these people said. I'm really surprised that they're not already like, yeah, we'll just do something about this. But I don't know if I read that as something explicitly dovish. Like that is, should I say, like explicitly bullish? Because that could mean that the conflict is about to deepen, right? Yeah. That could mean the conflict is about to deepen. So I'm a little bit unsure how I feel about the market moving here off of that. And it seems to me to be like a headline that's not like, weren't they already kind of fed up with Iran? Is this really actually a headline? And then the market got it early and reacted so much to it. Well, I think that now that we have the headline, the market's probably going to chill out a little bit. So I don't think I would be taking like a new position off of that. But if you happen to be long and you caught that, good for you. Right? We took the short and then it went way further the other way. So okay, well, guys, I'm going to get going. I will see you tomorrow. I enjoy having the extra hour. So thank you for sticking with me. Stay excellent, team.